So that's where there comes the distribution process, and eventually the exhibition where you decide you're watching either on your mobile phone or on a big screen and things like that. So something else that I feel personally that people should also take into consideration is when you know the kind of audience that you're trying to sell a film for. Now, if you're making a King of Boys, sorry, let me say, if you're making an Omogeto, you know that there's going to be the mass appeal in the cinema. So you can start with the cinema, you can do all your marketing. And if you look at a film like Omogeto did a great job in marketing. They even made music video, they made a music video. It was everywhere. Like that. It was everywhere. So that kind of movie was bound to do well in cinemas.
As in the product was good.
And the product was really good. Exactly.
You can spend $100 million and if the film is bad, you probably wouldn't be able to make your returns.
Yes.
Get people to go to the cinema to see it in the first 1 week, but then
fall out
because
like
something this. That would one thing that you can't buy is word of mouth. And if your film is great, that's why it's always good to start good, because the more people that see it, the more people will talk about it. And one of the films that had like fantastic word of mouth is Very Life. It started, good, but the word of mouth was fantastic. And usually, when you release a film, the first opening weekend, you do 30 million. Next weekend, you most likely will dip, no matter how good your film is, except for, like, there's some films that didn't dip, or get to Very Life. You dip just because a lot more people have got to see it, and then the next week, there's a new film, and a lot more people are going to see the new film. So usually, first weekend, you do 10 million for the sake of this conversation. Next weekend, you expect it to dip a bit. So maybe next weekend, you'll be doing 7 million. 6.5 or whatever. But Brother Life didn't dip. He even made more than he made in first weekend. That's because the product was so fantastic that you can't pay for word of mouth. How many people do you want to pay? So if your product is bad and you spend a lot of money on it, then a lot of people go to the cinema to watch it, and then the word of mouth is now really bad. So the dip is now really bad. Do you understand what I'm saying? So whatever you do, just make sure that your product is fantastic. Because if your product is bad, then there's nothing marketing can do. Absolutely nothing.
Awesome. So just to round up that side of the conversation, also always take note of when you know your product and you know your audience. I'll give an example of Emofe. Right? Yeah. Emofe is a fantastic film. It's probably the best movie I've seen this year. I'm sure if I ask a question, how many people in this room have seen Emofe? Probably 2 people raise their hands. Yeah, please. Have you seen the movie called Emofe? Huh? 2 people. I was right. And the person at the back didn't like it because she felt, what was this movie? He probably liked it because he was the target audience. And then we went to see it together. We're probably 3 of us in the cinema. The point I'm trying to make is once you know your kind of product, decide where you want to take it to. When you're making your film, when you're looking at your script, when you're looking at all that, you already know who your audience is. For example, you're shooting an Omogeto, and Omogeto is obviously a crowd pleaser. But if you're telling a story like Emofe, which is a story of a guy and a girl, a very subtle melodrama about the guy and the girl who are trying to live for a better life, and there's no action, literally there's no point in the movie where somebody hits his leg on a stone and he goes, yeah, it's mellow all the way. There's no background music throughout the movie. It's just a drama. You just know that don't even go the cinema route. Just look for an alternative mode of distribution, and those modes are always there and available for filmmakers. But this is not a film distribution conversation, so we'll just carry on. Now, the next thing is in terms of marketing. Right, we're talking about Omogeto now, shooting a music video. That's an unconventional medium of promotion, right? In your experience, what mediums have you seen that people have used for promoting their films, and how do you think those platforms and those mediums have done?
So for us, we use digital, in cinema, out of home, and then PR. So out of home is inclusive of radio, TV, whatever. Also, depending on your budgets, it's pretty much budgets. But then I can say that digital is what will give you, is what you can spend, what you can do without spending a lot. But the thing about digital is that you can't get to a number of people like you would with stuff like radio or billboards, you know.
Yeah.
And then things that billboard and radio give you also, it gives your film a larger than life feeling. When people see it on like a LED and say Ghost and the Tattoo coming to the screens, you know, people feel like, oh, this movie is going to be big. For them to have one to be on this billboard, you know, that means
It must be good.
it must be good. That means the pop one inside it, yeah. But I wouldn't say that, you know, you can convert and stuff, but it just gives your film a larger than life. It gives your film a bigger than it is kind of film. But I'd say that because of the kind of products that we are selling, digital is pretty much the strongest. It's just that if you're spending 10 million, you probably spend 2 million on digital, just because it's not as expensive. But then the people that you're trying to talk to, the film lovers, people that are young, upwardly mobile, and want to go and see a movie between ages 18 to say 35 for the sake of this conversation, are pretty much on digital. But then it's not just using digital, it's how you're using digital. What are you saying on digital? How are you saying it on digital?
Who are you using?
Who are you using? Who are you talking to? How are you talking to them? What time are you posting? How are you engaging people? How are you jumping on trends? So it's not just oh, I know I have an Instagram page. I know how to do Instagram. I can do Instagram. If you're not a digital marketer, then you should leave it for digital marketers to do, because they know the time to talk to people. They know that if you post stuff at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, people will most likely not see it. The best time to post is maybe 2 to 3, or maybe 1 to 3 when people are at lunch and people are chilling, pressing their phones. Maybe at 9, 5 to 6. They know copies that can engage, because it's one thing to post, it's one thing for you to engage on that post, and the more engagement you get on the post, the more people will see it. So that's a digital. One other good platform is PR. So you have like influencer marketing. If you have teams in the film that you can tie to a campaign, say for example, your film has a theme of friendship for the sake of this conversation, and then you can build a friendship campaign with Aki and Popo just because everybody knows them as friends or brothers, and then you find a way to tie it to that film, just so that a lot more people can see what you're doing. And I mentioned TV. Usually, TV is usually really expensive, so it's only people that have like a lot of money, or they're able to do better deals with partnerships. Yeah, partnerships. So with partnerships, it depends. Partnerships, you can do partnerships with pretty much anybody. It's just you need to be able to give values to partner. So what we do in FilmOne is we do partnerships with big restaurants, we do partnerships with supermarkets, just so that people can see it. It's almost like out of home. It just gives your brand more eyeballs. Yeah, it just gives your brand more eyeballs.
They will normally not say that.
Exactly, and then the thing about it is you're doing stuff on your phone, and then you see a film pop up. Then you go to the mall to get something, and then you see that same film pop up. Yeah, and then you're driving back home, or you're in the boat, or you're in the bus, and then you check that LED, you see that film pop up again. It's at the back of your mind, and then you probably not even say you want to go and see that movie. Someone calls you and say, let's chill Saturday, let's go and see a movie. Say what movie there is. So I don't know when I get there. And then when you get there, the person tells you, oh, this movie, and he goes, I think I should see this movie, just because you have seen it everywhere. That's one of the things that marketing does.
Psychology of marketing.
Exactly. There's radio and there's also premieres. For premiere, yeah, it's not everybody will have to do a premiere, to be honest. You can't afford a premiere, you don't have to do a premiere. But if you're doing a premiere, you have to do it right. I think a lot of mistakes that filmmakers make is when they do premieres because everybody's doing a premiere and they want to do a premiere. So it doesn't look like I did a film and I didn't do a premiere. But there are things that you need to do for your premiere for the sake of this conversation, quote unquote pop. You need to make people know that you shouldn't be doing your premiere for yourself. And then I see a lot of filmmakers do premiere and say I'm inviting the first lady of Kwara State, I'm inviting the minister of that, it's good, it's all well and good, but who are the influencers at the premiere? Who are the Nollywood stars at the premiere. There's no press house. We did a premiere, it came with only 2 newspaper, 1 TV station. At the end of the day, just know that you have done party.
So basically what you're
It's
saying,
well and good. It's good if you want to do a party. You can afford to do a party, you know. At the end, I can't, you know. But people need to realize that premiere is a marketing tool. It's not a party.
okay.
And if you think about the film premieres that have popped in this country, and I can mention a few, there was some form of buzz before the premiere. I can mention Merry Men 1, for example. There was this Agbada thing that AY was saying, and everybody was, and that was just after Ebuka training with this Agbada that he got, and everybody, me, you, the guy in Sokoto, the guy in Akwa Ibom, were all waiting for Ebuka to come to Merry Men 1 premiere with his Agbada. Is nothing else. They didn't have to pay for that, but there's anticipation for that premiere. And then on the premiere day, everybody's on their phones, you know. They've called in blogs. There's Bella Nigeria, there's that blog, there's this blog. Everybody's posting what Nengiwo, what B-War, you know, and all those things will drive conversation. Then people know that, oh, there's this film coming out. Don't do a premiere, and you can do a premiere, yeah, but if your premiere is not going to market your film, it's just a party. You're just calling people, it's just a screening. You're just calling people to come and eat and drink and then watch your film and go. But it shouldn't really be like that. Your premiere should, because it's so expensive and it's a one-off. If you want to do a decent premiere, an average decent premiere where you want to call 300 rupees, like 3 million, 4 million. This premiere, this 3 million, 4 million, just screen, food, this thing. There's no decoration and the extra balloon that comes with it. So if you want to do a premiere, and also premiere gives your film a big film feel.
Yes.
But if you're not able to communicate to people, people don't know that you did a premiere, then you just dashed the exhibitor, and people like us, food, just come and eat your food. And it's fine, you know, I'm not saying,
You're not complaining.
I'm not complaining, don't do party, because normally maybe that day I don't have wedding food too. So I'm just gonna, you know, yeah.
Okay, so in terms of promotion itself, right? Now we talked about the target audience, we've talked about the product itself being good, we've talked about knowing the kind of target audience that you're trying to appeal to, and some of the things that you should say and all that. But what are the materials, right? What are the materials that you should look at when you're trying to promote your film?
Different stuff. I think the basic things are your teasers and then your trailer. And it also has to, and then poster, yes, the poster. And when you're doing stuff like this, you have to do it with people that know how to do it. If you want to do a film poster, don't meet that guy in Shomolu that does a poster for obituary. Because there are people that are film, that's what they do. They are, you know, they have the skill of doing film posters. And the thing about film posters is if your poster is drab, it just has that effect on your film. Your poster also has to be appealing. In fact, your title art, the film itself, the title goes by the tattoo or MVP or whatnot, has to be done by a specialist. I think filmmakers, or maybe not filmmakers, producers, executive producers, the guys that pay money, just always most time focus on making sure they get the right. You wouldn't use a guy that is a videographer that does wedding videography to produce your film or to direct your film. But do you understand what I'm saying? Then why are you using a random guy to do a poster? Or why do you decide that you're going to use a normal guy or you or your daughter or your cousin to market your film on digital? You decided to pay the guys that know how to do this thing to shoot this film. Why don't you go all the way to use the right people to do the right things? So your poster has to be really good. Usually we do 2 teasers, or we say, or at least 2. It can be more. But your teaser also has to tease. And the only way your teaser has to tease, you have to get the right video editor, you have to get the right people, you have to
Tell the right story.
Tell the right story. At least let people anticipate.
Cut the trailer well.
Yeah, give the teaser, cut the teaser well. If we use Hollywood films as this if a Hollywood trailer comes, you see it goes viral, everybody's anticipating it, and then the, I was going to say Spider-Man. Even Matrix that just came out recently, people have started jumping on the trends of the blue pill and the red pill. Do you understand? Those are the kind of trends that you can jump on. And then your teasers also have to come, like your marketing also have to be, it has to be on time. You know, you don't have to, I know it takes a while after you shot the film to edit, to get the coloring right, to get the sound right, and all this other stuff. But you don't need to finish the film before you start to post your teasers or start to post your trailers. Because like I said initially, the only way that you can make your film a big film is when there's a form of long-lead marketing to it. It needs to be on people's minds consistently, right from the announcement stage. And when you announce the film in January that you're going to shoot this film, the film is coming out in June, and then you wrap up in February. Don't wait till like a week or 2 weeks before you start to release all those things. You need to, aside the BTS stuff, when the time for the teaser comes out, you release your teaser. When the time for the poster comes out, you release your poster. And then something else I was going to add is, aside from the poster, there's generic posters. You also need to do like we call them character posters. People need to see the character in the films. Like I said, if you want your film to do well, people need to you need to appeal to different people. And the only way you can appeal to different people is through their through the cast. Do you understand? If you want to appeal to the guys in Kano, you have to, and you have to put a poster of Alilu, or when you're cutting your teaser, when you're cutting your trailer, find a way to trick him inside. If not, people won't know that Alilu is that film. And if they don't think that Alilu is that film, you might not get a lot of money in Kano, but a lot of people will still go and see it because Alilu is there. If he wasn't there, you probably wouldn't get that kind of this thing. And then also for how to home, something that we do is, aside the normal poster, we sometimes cut like special posters, especially when we're doing out of home. So in a film that has a large array of cast, when we're posting stuff in the South, we put people that would have that appeal to the South. For example, if it's Merry Men, where AY is big in the South, you use AY to advertise in Benin, Delta, Port Harcourt and stuff. We use Fast to advertise in Ibadan, Akure, because people like it there. And then you use William Chamber to advertise, or maybe William Chamber and your eyes to advertise in the South. You should be able to curate all these kind of posters because those are the things that would appeal to the kind of people that you're taking to these locations.
I mean, even Hollywood does that.
Yes.
For example, the guys on the international poster or the Asian market poster will be the Asians.
And guess what? You can hardly see Hollywood film that doesn't have an Asian these days.
Yes.
And guess what? The Asian doesn't die. And that's because they understand the fact that the Asian market is really big. It's not as big as the American market, but you can get 50 to 70% of the money there. One of the ways that you can appeal is just because there's an Asian person there.
Nice. Okay. So in terms of mistakes and misconceptions that people make when it comes to marketing in general, I know that I would say the first one that comes to mind is a lot of times people are like, my marketing is an afterthought. Oh, okay, when I finish everything, I'll now start thinking about marketing and all that stuff. What are some of the mistakes and misconceptions that people have when it comes to marketing?
So I think I've mentioned that generally people see marketing as a cost, and not as an investment.
Yeah.
They just see it as I have to do it, and I think because of that, they don't include that when they are thinking of shooting or when they are thinking of doing a film. You most likely will be concerned with shooting costs, production costs, and stuff. But marketing now becomes an afterthought, and then you now start to look for the money to advertise, and that is when you start to bend your ads, you start to give guys that are not professionals the stuff to do. I think first and foremost, when you are doing your budget for your film, and you say your production cost is X naira, you're paying your director Y naira, you're paying that person Y naira, you need to include your marketing cost. and then you as a person, you know the kind of film that you're doing, and you have to first of all tell yourself the truth. Can this film make? What do you think this film can make? This film make 100 million, film can make 200 million, 50 million. If whatever you think this film can do, then you have to put marketing that you believe that can back it up. Because you shoot a fantastic film and nobody knows about this film. And you don't pretty much. I think something else I mentioned was premieres. I think a lot of filmmakers do premieres because everybody's doing premieres, and not because they see premiere as a marketing tool. When you're doing your premiere, you have to, the way you are thinking about your film is the way you have to put thoughts in your premiere. Who are you talking to? How can I make this premiere go viral? What can we do? It can be anything. At the point in time we are distributing boxes so that when we give out to people that we invite for these premieres, they will open the box and say, oh, thank you this, thank you that. You put nice stuff in your box. That will make people anticipate. At a point in time, we decided that we'll give the two people that are best dressed, we give X amount of naira, and the celebrities came out offering because they wanted to. At one point in time, we moved it to, instead of giving best dressed, we take two celebrities to Kenya, partnered with a travel company, just so that people would anticipate. And I'm not saying you have to go all this way, but whenever you're doing a premiere, you have to think of your premiere as an event, and it has to be an event that, it has to be a marketing tool, it has to be an event that people are anticipating. People want to see what your celebrities wore. And then last but not the least, you have to bring in press people, because those are the guys that will amplify it. You know, you have to bring in digital press, TV press, radio, print, just depending. People, it needs to feel like an event, and it shouldn't feel like just a party. People need to anticipate it, and then people need to see the glitz and the glam, you know, because that would in turn would
translate into the word of mouth,
yeah,
and the
bottom line. And at the end of the week, you know, Friday, people are jumping to the cinemas and that's it. Even if it's a film that wants to come out on other like streaming platforms, if you're going to do an event, you need to let people know that you're doing this event. If not, it's just money that you're wasting. And if you cannot afford to do a premiere and you don't think that you have the means to make this premiere go viral, then you can take in that funds and put it somewhere else. You can do something that we call a press screening. The press screening is just calling in press people. You don't have to invite the whole world. You know, 50 to 100 press people. You make sure that you treat them right and then you post it. Something else, like I mentioned, is when you're shooting your film, you're using the best of directors that you can use. Your makeup person is the best person. Your DOP is the best person. The producer is the best person. Then when it comes
story is the best.
Yeah. When it comes to marketing, you're not deciding that my son that is 21 uses Instagram. He's always on Instagram.
He must know how to do
He must know how to do this thing now. He must know he's very popular on Twitter. He has 50,000 followers on Twitter. But he's not a digital marketer. He's not even a marketer. It's just gonna
do what he knows how to do.
And it's just going to waste that money, you know?
Yeah.
So you need to look for people that are, and the person doesn't necessarily have to be a film marketing person, because they're not in a lot of, it's still a niche industry. But if you see someone that is very good with marketing and understands the product, once you understand the product and you know the people that you're talking to, half of your problem is solved. The next thing is, what strategy are you going to use to talk to these people? If you're not able to do this, then the film is just going to tank, except you are really lucky. But I don't think that any of us want to do stuff with luck, if you understand what I mean. I think pretty much that's it for me in terms of misconceptions.
Okay, so we'll open the floor now for questions. So please, if you have questions, just you can just put up your hand and so you can ask. Okay, you sir. Yes, please.
I'm a big fan of science fiction. I really enjoy the Mecca disturbance. So my question is pretty much, I know Hollywood is big on science fiction. Has the Nigerian market really adapted to science fiction?
To be honest, yeah. The Nigerian market, especially for Nollywood films, is still very, in fact, the cinema going culture, first and foremost, is still at the
Rudimentary
it's still at the
rules.
rudimentary roots. We have less than 70 cinemas in Nigeria. You compare that to America, there are over 4,000 cinemas in America. So you can understand what I'm saying. So the cinema going culture is still something that we're trying to grow. And then COVID happened and it went down, but then we're trying to bring it back. I'd say that when it comes to stuff like science fiction, even American science fiction itself, we've not really, except it's like action films where there's like Marvel films or DC. People, I feel like, at least me personally, I'm not talking for anybody, I think that Nigerians go into the cinema with science fiction believing that it's not going to be fine. And for every mistake that is made, they begin to like criticize it.
So that was
See that one. I see as blood. This blood is orange instead of being red. That's because they know that we generally we are not at that.
They're skeptics. They went in with the
we are not,
skeptics.
we are not even at that stage yet. Because I reckon that I'm just a marketer. I'm not a producing person, but I reckon that the VFX is really expensive. You know, if you're doing science fiction, put in some form of comedy, put in some form of drama, because the Nigerian market, when it comes to Hollywood films, the things that sell the most is romantic comedies and drama. People just want to go in there and laugh. And when I'm saying comedy, it doesn't have to be slapstick. It doesn't have to be comedy that is bland, because if you do comedy that is bland, you still come out and yab you, you still come out and abuse you. It needs to be comedy that you can relate to. It needs to be stuff that you can. It needs to be stuff that you can laugh about, because there are facing a lot of issues in this country. To be honest, if I go to the cinema, I don't want to go to the cinema to go and overthink. Hey, what happened here? Why is this thing like that? So I'd say that the market for science fiction is there. It's not just a big market yet. And if you want to make, and then returns on investment, to be honest, is relative. Because if you can do 40 million in the cinema, make returns on investment. If you can do 200 million in the cinema, they make return on investment. Because the film has they shot the film with 150 million, and they're looking to make $1 billion. They make 200 million. Clap, hey, make 200 million more. But some films they shot it with 10 million, and with 40 million, they've made their money from cinema even before it goes to other platforms. But I reckon that with VFX, with sci-fi, you have to spend a lot of money, which will in turn make your production costs really high. So the market is there. It's not just a big market yet. I reckon that as things as we grow, as the cinema market grows, and then it becomes a bit bigger.
And then something I would like to add to that also is the storytellers themselves. They still need to. We're still even perfecting our telling of stories that we're familiar with: drama, comedy, romance, all those things. So if you're deciding to take it like 3 skills, going into VFX and visuals and all those things and big scale production, you need to be able to balance it well, because the Nigerian audience is very skeptical when it comes to these things. The Nigerian audience will go in and trust you with comedy, but the Nigerian audience won't go in and trust you with a sci-fi, even action. Yeah, that's why you notice there's a reason why films like Omogeto would spice their films with 5 minutes of action, because they know that they are still trying to pull the audience and let the audience understand that we can do this thing, and then they are also trying to make people understand that our films can have some of these moments also. But there's a reason why they've not gone full scale in terms of projects whereby you would have 1 hour, 50 minutes. How many action movies do you have that you can say, they're large scale and they're really, 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 really good at the cost of executing a very good action film? One scene can take, 1 week if you want to do it well. But in Nigerian film, some films will take 2 weeks to shoot from start to finish.
How did
Ratnik, well, this will be a review. Ratnik was solid in terms of VFX. It's even premiered here. I think it premiered here in terms of some of the marketing material and things like that. So I think Ratnik actually sets the bar in terms of visuals for projects that I want to do. I thought calling was spices here and there, but it was, I think it was good. Okay, two more questions. We're ending the session. So, okay, you are at the extreme back. I think you've been raising your hand for a while.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you for the session. I just want to ask a question from someone who has knowledge about the industry. Based on your experience, how much would you say is the least amount of money one should have for a movie that wants to go to the cinema?
Honestly, it's such a simple question, but a tough question. And that's because it also depends on what you think your return on investment is.
Maybe from experience.
From experience, usually it's between 3 and 4 million. And 3 and 4 million is not just marketing, it includes in cinema materials. Because I know I've mentioned a lot of things, but I've not mentioned in cinema. Because at the end of the day, the people that want to see your movie in the cinema, so you have to also be in the cinema with them. But yeah, but it includes in cinema materials, it includes stuff that sensors board, all those technicalities. I'll say between 3 and 4 million, but that's the bare minimum.
I love your faith. I love your faith.
I would have been sitting like this.
Are you saying 4 million for marketing or entire production?
I'm not a production person, so I can't really tell what production, how much you spend on production. Production has a different kind of thing. What to do, your cast, marketing. Just that's the bare minimum, and I can't do a lot. To be honest, it's just digital, but at least at that point in time, people would see. And the funny thing about stuff like marketing is also your first film, especially when you're just doing your first film. The first film might not do well in terms of returns. But if people really like your film and they have one way or the other put that person at the back of their mind, when you are doing your next film, it can do way better. And I'm going to use an example of Kemi Adetiba. When Kemi Adetiba did Wedding Party 1, she was just a director. But people really, really liked Wedding Party 1. And one way or the other, she wasn't a film. One way or the other, the fact that Kemi Adetiba directed Wedding Party 1 stuck. So when Kemi Adetiba was doing KOB, the first one, just because, before we even saw the film, just because it was Kemi Adetiba's film, people expected greatness. If you understand what I'm saying. So sometimes, the film you are doing, it might not do as much as you want, but if your film is really good, then it will do well. Yeah.
Okay. We are actually done. Yes, that's what I was going to say. Please, let's take the conversation outside. I can see hands, so let's just go outside. If you have questions, let's just have those questions. So thank you very much for attending our session, and thank you very much, Lanre, for sharing up. God bless you.